Oh, recording now.
Okay, can I start?
Yes, over to you.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening. From wherever you are joining from, my name is Almazine Jennifer, and you can call me Jennifer actually. So I'm a product manager. I've been in the insurtech space, managing B2B, B2C SaaS, and I have quite a number of experience in this space as a product manager. But the good thing about the talk today is that it's not only speaking to product managers. It has been an experience I've had over the years and felt the need to talk about it to people in the tech space. If you have ever worked with a team or you are part of a team, it is crucial and important to understand the reason why you have to build with papers. Just like the team says today, it is from idea to execution, the clarity of building with papers. And over here, we can just see it means turning ideas into meaningful outcomes through clarity, alignment, and intentional execution. So you might actually want to ask yourself, what is purpose? As a team, and for everybody that has been in the tech space, we understand the need to always ship. We always ship things, especially if you work in a very fast-paced organization. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, teams are always required to ship something to the market. You have to push something that is usable and useful to users. Quite all right, but you have to now be, that's where purpose comes in. Purpose is about intention, being intentional about what you are building. And the truth of the matter is, it is not the sole purpose, like, or for someone. It doesn't belong to one particular person or one particular team member. It is a joint effort. It is a uniform effort. It is a collaborative effort as a team. So going forward, now see why purpose beats feature every single time. I've actually come across in my journey as someone in the tech space, because I've had quite an experience. I've worked as a project manager. I have experience as a project manager. Is quite similar to product management, but a bit different. And I've also worked as a technical PA. I've been in this space for a while, and I've come across teams that are very, very much feature driven. So the question is always, what's next? What to push to the market? But then, are you purposeful? Are you asking yourself, what value does this serve to our customers? So you can ship on time, QA has already conducted some tests, it passes through, and you still build the wrong thing. But what stops it is when you build with purpose. So when you're building with intention, that is when it stops. Here, the first one I have here is features describe outputs, purpose describes outcome. Now you might want to ask yourself, what's actually the difference? When you talk about output, you're talking about getting the work done. So is that jobs to be done? What do I have to do? I know, like, if you have really worked across teams, you know that there's something they call jobs to be done. You are employing a task, or you're employing a product. When it doesn't serve its purpose, you just like make do with it. More like you're sending it an expulsion letter or a sack letter. I do not need you anymore because it's not serving its purpose. So it is easy to build, or it is easier to build than getting results. Outcome is about the result. Outcome is about the value. But when you start is at the ideation phase. That is when you ask yourself, what is the reason? Why are we building this? So building with purpose or building with intentionality actually answers three questions. And that is why it is very important that as someone that is a member of a team or part of a team, you ask yourself this question every single day so far you are working. Who am I building this for? What purpose does it serve? What value does it present? Like, what are they going to use this for? And then at the end of the day, how do I know that they are getting value for what I'm building? Now, what teams really misunderstand at the onset is it is very easy for some people to think that they are not part of the people that should ask these questions. But newsflash, So far you are building, so far you are a builder, so far you are in tech, so far you are part of a team, it should be at the back of your mind at every single time, because the question that you ask yourself at the ideation phase is going to help you at the long run. So without purpose, you optimize the wrong thing. Optimization is very important when we build. So it helps you even prioritize, what do I optimize for at so and so level? Is it time to optimize for speed, performance? How do I track whatever I'm building? How do I optimize for certain things? That is when you are building with purpose and you're not just feature driven. That is what it comes with, and it's going to help you at the long run. So purpose gives your decision a shared filter. So in this case, when two solutions are on the table, purpose tells you which one to build. We always have prioritization issues, especially when two solid issues or solid tasks are on the table. Which one am I going to build first? The building team or the engineering team always have this problem at all times. Which one to build first? Pressure is coming from stakeholders, pressure is coming from management, pressure is coming from everywhere, and you're being told we need to ship this fast. Is a regular occurrence. It's something that is always at the mouth of management, or at the mouth on the mouth of builders or stakeholders. We need to ship this fast. We need to release this to the market. But if you are building with purpose, and if you are someone that is part of a team that is supposed to build this and ship it and release it to the market, you have to always be intentional and purposeful. So when you are building with purpose, you have to always ask yourself, because you are building with intentionality, it helps you with making a good decision when it comes to prioritization. So the problem with how we build today, research has it. Some, I didn't get the exact figure, but that's why it has to move from this to this. There is an interval. So 50 to 70% of built features go largely unused, and you ask yourself why. I am so sure that when it comes, there are so many, we have instances of even Twitter. You can see today they will release like a major feature, and tomorrow they will take it back. You will not see it, it wouldn't exist anymore. And so on and so forth. There have been so many features that you see today on WhatsApp. I don't know how many people here uses WhatsApp, or maybe iMessages and all of that. And tomorrow you wouldn't see it anymore. So why does this happen? Also, 2 in 3 product launches miss their original targets. Again, you have to always define your target audience. Who am I building for? Why am I building it for them? What is the purpose? What value is it going to serve them? 60% of teams have no clear metrics before shipping. What do you want to track? Tracking is quite important because it helps you to make decisions. That is it. So if you can't keep building something that is not being tracked, you define what you want to track and how you're going to track them. Because at the end of the day, it helps you to be more purposeful. So here is a little word for us for this. The gap is not effort, but it is alignment. When people align, when people collaborate, 2 heads actually is better than 1, or always better than 1. So teams build features, users want outcomes. No matter what you build, your product can have about 10 features, but you always have to ask yourself, what do users really want? What do they want? This thing that I've already built that is in the market for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, is it of value to them? Will they come back? If it is SaaS product, are they going to come back to subscribe to this particular product? Are they moving on? Are they moving on to alternative means, or are they moving on to our competitors out there? So building with purpose also has to do with problem and solution validation. At the earlier stage of building, you have to always just define what problem validation means and solution validation. They are 2 different things. You have to ask yourself repeated questions around, is this problem real and reoccurring? Who experiences it and how often? These are for products or for companies that have existing products or existing features. You already have active or existing users, people utilizing that product. So you have people to reach out to and ask questions. You have users, you have customers, you have paying users to ask questions about their experiences. You also ask, what is the cost of not solving it? If I don't solve this problem, at this particular point in time? Is it a now? Is it a next? Or is it a later feature to work on? Or is it a hot fix? Do I need to fix it now? And what actually helps you to make this decision is talking, being purposeful, knowing that, okay, I'm not just building for myself, but I'm building for people out there that it matters to. So you also have to ask, do we have evidence, data, feedback, churn signals? This also brings me back to when I spoke about data. You have to also be data driven. All these things is when you are building with papers. Have we spoken to the actual users affected? When there is an issue, when there is a request, when there is a complaint, how do you handle it as a member of a team, as an active member of a building team? So for the solution validation, you have to always ask, does it actually solve what we validated? When you are being called, you have sprints, something is going on. I know some teams actually work on a 2-week sprint, some others work on 1 week, although the one that is more out there is like 2 weeks. So you have to always ask yourself, this that we are working on, or this feature that we are working on at this particular, how does it solve users' problem? After you are done building, what do you actually look up to or look out for? Is it usable without holding hand? Do you direct users on how to use it? Do your users come back at the end of the day to make complaints on, I can't find where this button is, and you have to explain to them where to find the button? Then you are not being purposeful. You're not building with purpose. Are users choosing it over alternatives? You have to always ask this question. And again, it's not someone's job to always make these decisions. It is every single person that is part of a team. If you are building, you are supposed to be interested about what you have built. So does it hold under real traffic and edge cases? Can we measure its user and business impact clearly? I have a team of developers that at the end of every feature build, they come back to ask, we want to see the data, what has happened over and over, like the some months that this feature has been out there, what has gone on with this, because they are purpose driven. They want to see we're not just building, but something is coming out of it at the end of the day. So questions every builder must ask, and builder here, I mean, if you're an engineer, or for people that we also have that are not technically inclined on this call, but you are part of a team that is delivering or shipping or trying to give people values, you should always ask yourself these questions. Who is this actually for? Defining your target audience is very, very, very important. If you're not building for anybody, you're not building at all. You have to have people that are willing to listen to what you are building, to buy what you are building. Being specific about the people that you are building will help you at the early stage of your product build. What exact problem does this solve? You define your problem. I already spoke about product validation. So this stage, you have to actually conduct your surveys. There are different ways to know whether what you want to build is actually solving a particular problem. So there are focus groups, you can conduct surveys, you can have a one-on-one conversation or interaction with your potential customers out there, or with your existing customers. How will we know it worked? So at the end of the day, when teams meet, you should always ask this question. At the end of the day, how are we going to know that this feature that we are shipping out will work or is working? How are we going to know that? Let me take, for example, if you use a telemedicine feature that is supposed to allow people to conduct virtual consultation, right? You ask, how are we going to know that it worked at the end of the day? So that is when you'll be provided with success metrics, what defines if a particular feature is working. So what could break or go wrong? Who else on the team is affected? These decisions or these questions are very important to make at the early stage of building, or at the early stage of making our decisions on what to build. Now, I'm going to take us through how teams can actually cross-collaborate. Again, I have a little funny story, because the reason why I came up with this was I've been part of a team before that after a PM makes a decision, product manager makes a decision, brings up and shares what to be worked on, it ends there. And then she hands it over to the designer, and the designer does her own thing, his or her own thing. The designer and the PM will now meet with the developers and then hand it over, and they just build, and it's shipped out to the users or the customers. There is no collaboration. At the end of the day, what happens is something breaks and you come back and then you already have debts, you already have debt because it keeps piling up. Your backlog is full of complaints. You keep coming back to things that you have already worked on. Why? Because there was not much collaboration at the inception of that product build. For product engineers that we have here, you are actually like the experience layer. You translate code into what users actually see, feel, and interact with. But how you collaborate is going to help you so much better and to build better products. How do you interact with your backend developers? How do you interact with your designers? How do you interact with your product managers? What questions do you ask at the initial stage of building a product, at the initial stage of shipping a feature? This will definitely help because I know so many developers, so many engineers we have here. Nobody likes refactoring. Code refactoring is one thing that we don't like doing. And if you would want to prevent this, although no matter what, there will always be improvements on some features, but how do you reduce it? So working with designers early prevents costly rework and produces accessible user-tested interfaces from the start, and aligning with backend on API contracts. I actually think that, or I know and believe, because I've seen it work out, when the aligning with your product manager, product designer, and after then, you also go back to your backend developer to understand what can break, what can break. Does this go in line with what we have on the design, or should we call them back to explain why this should be in this way or in that way? So also engaging your DevOps, it will help you understand bundle budget, CDN strategies, and deployment constraints early. That's for teams that actually have the DevOps engineers. So you should always ask yourself these questions. I have to rush like this part because of time. Does this interaction appeal to a first-time user? What happens visually and functionally when the API call fails or is slow? And again, it's not just about collaborating, it's about you voicing out what you think will be an issue on the long run, because it helps in ticketing issues. So you also have to ask, have we tested this on low-end devices, across different devices? How does this work on iOS? How does this work on Android? Is this accessible for users with visual, cognitive, or motor impairment? Accessibility matters a lot in product build. And these are the questions that should be in the mouth of every product and front-end engineer at the inception of product build. Again, I am more particular about the start of building a product, asking the right question, being intentional at that point, because it prevents a lot. It might surprise you that you can spend 3-4 months building something that would have taken you a month because you didn't ask the right question and because you didn't make cross collaboration the core front of what you are doing. So backend engineers, how do you collaborate? People always call the backend people the engine of every product build. So you build a systems that make every product promise possible. How can cross collaboration work for you? Ask questions, please. I'm always particular about asking questions and voicing out things that you think might be blockers at the long run. You collaborate with the products and design teams early, agreeing API contracts with front-end engineers. Meeting with your front-end is quite important. After reviewing a document, after reviewing a design, when you are building the architectural front of what you are supposed to do, it is quite important to meet with your product front-end designer to explain the steps and processes and flows. And then after the decision has been made, you can now say, okay, this can be is already handed off and we can build. It helps you to see faults early. What the front-end engineer will see earlier, you might not see it. And Collaboration helps you people to make that decision, or collaboration helps the teams to make the decision at the onstart. So aligning also with DevOps on infrastructure ensures your services are observable, scalable, and recoverable. So questions to also ask while building, you ask what is the expected load and have we stress tested beyond it? How will this service behave when a downstream dependency becomes unavailable? What data are you storing? What data are you storing? It is quite important that this decision is made early. And how easy is it to roll back this change if something breaks in production? For the DevOps team, the teams that actually have the DevOps team, you always like look out for this. Working with developers early on branching strategies prevents last minute pipeline failures. Collaborating with security and compliance, that's for teams that have cybersecurity team, and partnering with backend. I always do believe that DevOps and backend engineers works hand in hand. Aligning with products on release cadences allows you to plan capacity and minimize disruption risk during launch. You just have to ask, when there is a downtime, how soon can this come up? How soon can we resolve? The uptime, the downtime of an application or for every product matters a lot, because it can actually cause loss of customers, makes them to churn if any product is not servicing a user the way it is supposed to service because of unreliability. I believe the DevOps team has a lot to do with speed, reliability, and performance. And as a DevOps person, it should always be at the back of your mind to always sync that when you are syncing or aligning with the team, to ask necessary questions that would help you make certain decisions that will not prevent customers from having an amazing time while dealing with your product. For the designers, UI UX is quite important. For every single button on an application or on a feature, it matters a lot. The position, the layouts, ask questions, conduct your surveys properly. It is very nice and important and necessary that product designers talks with customers, because that is the only way that you can make decisions. That's the only way that you can know what the problem is and how to solve their problem better. Working with engineers early also helps not to go back to redesign, because sometimes flows can also like intertwine and affect a certain like systematic flow. So it is always important to have that alignment. Joining user research with business teams, ensure everyone is building from the same picture of user reality. Nobody likes going back to what has initially started. I feel like it is always like a waste of time, something that's supposed to take 1 month, because necessary research is weren't done. You keep on, or you spend about 2 months or 3 months on a particular event or a particular feature that's supposed to have taken a minimal time building. Also, looping in security ensures that security critical flows are designed to be clearly understood. Always ask yourself question, this thing I'm building or this screen I'm building, how is this going to secure my users? How do you want users to look at it? At the sign up stage, what happens? When users forget their password, what happens? How are you securing the customers with your the designs that you are making or with your UIs? So you should always be able to ask certain questions. Have we observed real user attempting this task? What is the worst thing a confused user could do on this screen? And this is where, for teams that track how users behave using analytical tools, sometimes you will be able to see that a user is staying longer on this particular screen. At the top of like onboarding, why is this particular user on this screen for so long? You have stayed here for 2 minutes, you are watching what they are doing. Also, give yourself time and watch that same experience. If a certain number or a cluster of users are having issues with that particular screen, then it is time to make a decision. Talk to people, reach out to the users. You can find them if you're using like tools like Mixpanel and others that actually shows you like you can do session replays on, so you can see them and reach out to them and know what the issue is. a user shouldn't, if you need a user to take an action, especially during onboarding, I want users to be able to onboard in 2 minutes. And on a particular screen, they're already spending a minute or a minute and a half. Then there is a problem, because before they can eventually finish signing up, it's already been more than the time that you gave yourself, or the metrics that you gave yourself for onboarding. So also, are we designing for the edge case user, or only for the perfect user part? Edge cases matters a lot. If this doesn't happen, what happens? If this user doesn't come in through this place, they will go through the other routes. So you always have to make this decision as a product designer. Then finally, the business teams. Cross collaboration helps build better. I actually say business teams are very important when it comes to, planning stage of every product, because they give you the ideas from the business side. Everybody that is building, every developer, every manager, you have to also be business minded a bit, because it will help you. So sharing customer feedback, support tickets, and churn signals with engineering accelerates real problem validation. When this is being shared, how do you, as somebody that is in tech team, take it in? You also that is in the business team, do you always share these ideas with the right team or with the teams that are building? Collaborating with design on onboarding and activation flows improves product adoption and reduces support load. I'm sorry, can anybody still hear me? Because I want to know if we are
Oh, we
Yeah.
are
still
all
here.
Yeah.
attentive. Yes, don't worry. Yeah,
Okay. Uh,
I have
Thank you
questions,
so
so
much.
continue.
Okay, thank you. Don't worry. Okay, after I'll also be done. Actually, I'll soon be done. Working with security and during enterprise deals ensure compliance blockers are addressed before they store revenue. The business team that has a lot to do with revenue decisions and all of. So it is very important that if you are building, you understand what they actually want. Although you don't always do what business wants, because sometimes business might actually be on the other side of what you have to build, but understanding the need and the reason that they are giving you will help you in your prioritization step. So questions to also ask while building, as someone that is in the business team, does this feature help customers succeed with the product or just impress them during the sales cycle? So I used to have problems with some people that I've worked with that are in the business teams. When one person makes a decision as a customer, they come to you. I need you to add this. This person makes a request as a customer. I need you to add this. This person makes it. So like for all the requests that they get from customers, they would want it to be added or built as a feature on the product. So, but you always need to ask yourself questions beyond the request that is being made. Also, what objections or support issues are you hearing in the field that engineering needs to know about? Do you relay information to the people that are actually building them, or do you just keep it for the time of, reviews to talk about what the issues are and not what solution that has been provided? How are you communicating this change to customers? Are you ready for their questions? So for someone in the business team, I also understand how we might not really be that technically inclined like others, but it's also important to understand certain explanations to give to customers at every single time that they are asking, especially being someone that interfaces with them a lot. So what does adoption actually look like? Next 30 days, next 60 days, next 90 days, what does adoption look like for you as a team? And that's why it's also good to collaborate, because it's in this place that you actually get what the metrics are for people in the product team and be able to relate it with what you have and make necessary decisions. So this is like how collaboration works. When all the teams collaborate, we arrive at a certain point, or we arrive at one thing, and that is user value. I believe good collaboration, consistent collaboration helps you, or helps building teams to give users the value that they are looking for. Because at the end of the day, there are decisions coming from the different building teams, people that have had experiences with the customers, and so on and so forth. So because at the end of the day, when users have value, they have more tendencies to stick with your product. You have stickiness with the product that you are building. If I don't get value, I don't see the need to come back to your product or to keep paying for what you are offering me. So here, from idea to measurable impact, how do you measure your impact, the shared journey? There is something that they call from the discovery stage. I always speak about the ideation stage because that is also the discovery stage. This is where ideas are being nursed. This is where teams gather together, share ideas, share knowledge, talk about different use cases, what can actually stop this from working or might actually make it work more in the market. So you validate the problem, understand users, align the full team on what you're actually solving. You also define what the problem is. Define it properly. We want to be able to build this particular feature. We want to be able to ship this to the market. Define it properly. What are the metrics? What are the things that you need to track, and so on and so forth. The scope of the feature. Don't go out of scope, or don't. It's okay to. I know as you are building, there are tendencies to enlarge scope, but at every single time that this is being done, it is necessary that teams come back to iterate on what has happened, iterate on changes, discuss changes, and let there be constant collaboration, constant discussion, constant conversation. Then the building stage, this is where development happens, or implementation. At this stage, nobody loves when it is being cut short. Oh, we are not building this anymore. Let us move over to that. We are not building this because we didn't identify, or we were not able to see at the initial stage that this one is important. We were not able to see at the initial stage that there is a need to add an identity status, or for users to submit a form of identification. Why didn't you see that? So you now have to break or cut short what you are building to be able to go back. And what it causes is that the designer has to come in, the document has to be rewritten, and this takes the team back so much. So the launch stage, so many people are involved in launch. Your work as a builder doesn't stop at the building stage. It also extends to the launch stage, because you want to know how the product is doing out there. You want to know how are people receptive? Are they receiving this that I've already built? That I spent 2, 3 months, 1 year building? How are people receiving? How is it launched? You should have a certain decision or an opinion to how the product is supposed to be shipped to the market or given to the users. Then optimization. Every time you optimize what you've already built, measure outcome versus target, iterate from data, close the loop on what worked and what did not work. Constant optimization helps to put what we've already built in check. And for this, every stage is a shared checkpoint, not a handoff between silos. Because honestly, as it is moving from discovery stage up to the optimization stage, after launching, there's supposed to be constant collaborations among team on what has been built. And I have to speak about product market fit here, because it's quite important. What product market fit actually requires from your team. At what point does your product get to the market and is sustainable? You do not need to preach it too much to users out there or to customers out there. People are willing to buy what you are selling. People are willing to listen to you about your product. So user needs clarity. Everyone on the team can articulate who the user is and what real problem you are solving. Did you just build something and after 1 month, you are being asked about it and you have little or no explanation to give to it? You have already forgotten. You are asking the questions, who are these people? If you are confused as someone that is a core member of a building team, just know that that is the same way that your users out there are going to be confused when this product eventually reaches the market. Technical feasibility. Solutions are scoped against what is buildable, scalable, and maintainable, not just what sounds good. Then security by design, operational excellence, all this, when you team it up or box it, actually make sure, or is what ensures that your product has market fit when it gets out there. Also design integrity. Make sure that the experience is consistent, accessible, and intentional across every touch point. Also, business alignment. The product solves a user problem in a way that is commercially valuable and operationally sustainable long term. So, in conclusion, building with purpose is all about intentionality. As every single person that is part of a building team, you have to ask yourself necessary questions at every single time. From the ideation phase, from the discovery phase, you do not wait till it gets to your desk before you are aware of what is going on or before you ask necessary questions. Ask questions on time because it is going to help you to make decisions when it gets to you. It is going to help the users at the long run. Validate before you build. Always confirm that the problem is real. Are you solving because the problem is all up in your head? Collaborate from the first day. The best products are designed with every team's constraint and strength in mind. So collaboration starts from the start, from inception, from the day that that idea is being nursed or nurtured. That's the time that collaboration is supposed to start. And again, measure what actually matters. Don't measure everything. There will be so much data and things you track, but you track the ones that are very, very important. So user outcomes and business results over feature count. Success is not shipped, it is solved. I think this is the end, and that brings me to the end of this presentation. I will be taking questions if there are any. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. This was a very, very insightful talk. And I'm actually excited that there are software engineers in the building and also like data engineer, backend engineers. I personally, I like to call myself a product engineer, even though I'm a front-end engineer, because I believe we are building for, customers. And it's always good to actually ask this question that you did mention. So I really enjoyed the topic. Please, if you have questions, just feel free to raise your hand or drop it in the channel.
Or if you'd like to come off mute as well. Thank you, Jennifer, for the session. It was really nice for you to cover not just the typical software engineering roles, but you also made sure to include the background roles like DevOps engineers, for example, because I myself, I was a software engineer and then I transitioned to the cloud platform engineering side of things. So now my users are developers, right? And so I have to have that mindset shift where I'm not just building for the regular users anymore. My own users are now developers. So whatever I'm building, I need to think about what value that would bring to developers who are my users now. So it was interesting to listen to what you had to say on how everyone on the team, regardless of whatever your role is, you need to be thinking about the product and what value whatever product you're building brings to your user. So that was my learning anyway. That was my takeaway. Do we have any questions? Any questions at all, or any comments, or anything you'd like to share with Jennifer? No? Come on, questions or any learnings, any takeaways?
Input.
Yeah, inputs as well. I could just share. No, that's all good. That's all good. Oh, we do have someone. Yeah, please, Suman. If that's right. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Actually, no one's raised hand for question. That's why I want to ask a question for my current situation. Actually, currently, if I want to give some background of currently I'm doing my bachelor in electronic engineering in Germany in a applied science university. So, but I mean, currently I'm in a third semester. It's going well, but currently I have great interest in business and entrepreneurship.
Mm.
So now I'm thinking that I want to switch my course from electronic engineering to business and informatics combined. It's a combined course. So my question would be: is it good for me to switch, or I'm not sure about that. Is it benefit for me if I switch my course, or I can do my business or entrepreneurship whatever I want without switching the course, or the course would be better for me if I want to do business and entrepreneurship just.
Yeah, let me take that question because it's I think we can answer is a question for Izini, but I'll take this one. I think, for example, I'll just use my experience. So I studied computer engineering, which is not exactly what I'm doing right now because I wanted to be like a hardware engineer, for example. And then towards like my third year, my fourth year, I started shifting more to like the software engineering side of things, started focusing on the front end, but I still finished my major. I feel like your first degree should not really or doesn't necessarily define what your career would look like. It gives you like a lot of foundational knowledge. It gives you like a lot of like the basics, or it helps you build things like your engineering, like system design thinking or engineering knowledge, basically, which is something that you can apply or transfer into like any other area. So regardless of what your interest is in now, that's not something that necessarily has to define what your degree should be, right? Because you can get like all of the knowledge you can get from your electrical engineering course, finish that through, and then right now, like while you've decided that, oh, you probably want to explore like the entrepreneurship side of things, you can start doing some research on what you can start learning more about within that area, see how you can incorporate it with your current course, and then finish your course. I would always advise you to finish your course because I feel like you can decide to explore, but once you have your degree, you would always have your degree, right? So once you graduate, while you are still studying for your course, take some time to explore this new area that you want to learn more about, see whether it is really for you while still continuing your course. And then once you graduate, make that decision whether it's something that you would love to like continue with, or you'd really want to like pivot into the entrepreneurship side of things. And another thing that you can do is also consider like speaking to like a mentor, for example. So like this is a great topic or a great way for you to connect with someone that might be like a career switcher or someone that has made like a similar transition. They'll be able to offer you like more advice or more insights on what would be like a good path for you. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide or to try out things, right? Like, yeah, there is nothing wrong with trying. So I hope that helps a bit. And if you want more insight, then I guess you can join our community as well and then try to connect with one of our mentors if that helps. Does that
Yeah,
help?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a question for Ezine. So she said, or Anna says, what skills did you need to get into your position? So like, how did you get started? Things like that. That's for Jennifer.
All right. Hi, Anna. Thank you so much. I would say it wasn't so. First of all, I'm a product manager, and getting into product management was something that I just saw from the way that I relate with people, the way that I am curious. First of all, I got into this by knowing that I'm a very curious person, because that is what the role it has. You do well certainly on it when you're very curious, because you ask a lot of questions. So before then, I had already known, oh, I'm curious. I love knowing the reason why for certain things. And then I had to now take courses, make researches. I got some courses on different platforms that would actually enable me be a good product manager. I would say product management has to do a lot with people's skills, right? And then knowing the why and the how, and then being a strategic person. So if it's more about soft skills than hard skills. So when you now get into it, that is when you now look at analytical approach to things, strategic approach to things, being very much business minded. But at the core of it, you have to be a people's person. You have to know how to work with people. You have to know how to collaborate a lot. You know have to know how to be strategic, because and being somebody that loves new things, ideas, new ideas, innovations, because that is what it is all about. At the end of the day, when you build, you want to improve your product. You want to do things that will excite users at the end of the day. So you have to make constant research. You have to be a researcher. You have to be somebody that documents a lot. You have to be someone that knows how to talk people into doing things. You have to be somebody that is very strategic and analytical. So I think when you check yourself and just look at it, the soft skills, and you possess them, you can eventually just look out for courses that will help you or resources that will help you build more on it. Yeah. I hope
Okay.
that answers it.
Yeah, I guess. It's really a lot about people skill with product management. But yeah, thank you. Do we have any other question?
We're right on time as well, so
Yeah. So I guess I'll give people 3 minutes of their time back. Thank you so much for joining today's event. And please, if you have any topic, we always welcome speakers for online events. And also feel free to connect to Jennifer on LinkedIn if you want to ask more questions about the topic, or just connect with her. And also please connect with us on all social media, Women Coding Community, and we would see you next time. Thank you
please
so
don't
much.
forget to share your feedback as well.
Yeah, please share your
Thank
feedback
you.
about the
That'll be great.
session. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have
All
a
right.
good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And then I'll stop recording.
Bye.
Where do I stop recording?
I've just stopped it.